the first chapter of NAC video training, we will train you on the basic way to install the product. Here's a brief overview of our curriculum. 1. Device access, a step-by-step guide on how to access the device using the CLI, command line interface. 2. Basic commands, an introduction to essential commands needed for basic operations, including practical examples. 3. OS upgrade, instructions on performing the mandatory OS upgrade required for the initial setup of devices running version 5.0. Let's begin with training on the methods for first-time access to the device. To access the device, the following items are required. 1. A USB to serial cable that converts the USB port to a serial connection. 2. Depending on the type of sensor, an RJ45 cable or DB9 cable. 3. A program capable of serial or SSH, Secure Shell Access. For the training, we will use the Secure CRT program as the basis for explanation, as it supports file upload functionality. Information on serial port types for devices. The table provides details on the serial port types for devices currently available for purchase. For newly sold devices, cables are included in the package. However, devices replaced through RMA typically do not come with cables. Please refer to the table above and prepare the necessary cables accordingly. Devices such as the sensor models S30HG and S40HG, as well as policy server models C30G and C50G, do not have physical serial ports, as indicated by Type None. To access the CLI mode, you will need to directly connect a monitor and keyboard to these devices. Policy server specifications. Model C10R1. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port and 4 UTP ports. Equipped with a 500 GB hard disk and 64 GB SSD. Rack size 1U. Model C20R1. Front panel includes a DB9 serial port and 2 UTP ports. Equipped with a 1 TB hard disk and 64 GB SSD. Rack size 2U. Model C30R1. Front panel includes a DB9 serial port and 2 UTP ports. Equipped with a 1 TB hard disk, 64 GB SSD, and 16 GB memory, twice the memory of the C20R1. Rack size 2U. Model C40R1. Front panel includes a DB9 serial port and 2 UTP ports, equipped with a 1 TB hard disk and a 256 GB SSD. Rack size 2U. Additional policy server specifications. Model C50R1. Front panel includes a DB9 serial port and 2 UTP ports. Equipped with a 1 TB hard disk and 256 GB SSD, offers 32 GB of memory, which is twice the memory of the C40R1. Rack size 2U. Model C30G, based on the HP DL360 model, does not include a serial port. Rear panel includes 4 UTP ports, equipped with a 1 TB hard disk. Rack size 1U. Since it lacks a serial port, a monitor and keyboard are required to access CLI mode. Model C50G, based on the HP DL360 model, does not include a serial port. Rear panel includes 4 UTP ports, equipped with a 1 TB hard disk and 480 GB SSD, offers 64 GB of memory, which is 8 times the memory of the C30G. Rack size 1U. Since it lacks a serial port, a monitor and keyboard are required to access CLI mode. Model ES30R1. Rear panel includes a DB9 serial port and 2 UTP ports, equipped with a 10 TB hard disk and 2 TB SSD. Rack size 2U. Model ES50R1. Rear panel includes a DB9 serial port and 2 UTP ports, equipped with a 10 TB hard disk and 4 TB SSD. Offers 128 GB of memory, which is twice the memory of the ES30R1. Rack size 2U. Network sensor specifications. Model S10R1. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port and 2 UTP ports. Does not include a hard disk. Rack size 1U. Model S10R2. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port and 2 UTP ports, equipped with a 32GB SSD, rack size 1U. Model S20HR1. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port and 4 UTP ports. Does not include a hard disk, rack size 1U. Model S20HR2. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port and 4 UTP ports, equipped with a 32GB SSD, rack size 1U. Model S20HR1. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port and 2 UTP ports, equipped with a 500GB hard disk, rack size 1U. Model S20HR1. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port and 4 UTP ports, equipped with a 500GB hard disk, rack size 1U. Model S30HR1. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port and 4 UTP ports, equipped with a 500GB hard disk and 4GB memory, twice the memory of the S20HR1, rack size 1U. Model S40HR1. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port and 6 UTP ports, equipped with a 1TB hard disk and 8GB memory, twice the memory of the S20HR1, rack size 1U. Model S50HR1. Front panel includes an RJ45 serial port, 8 UTP ports, and 4 fiber ports, equipped with a 1TB hard disk. Model S30HG, based on the HP DL20 model, does not include a serial port. Rear panel includes 2 UTP ports, equipped with a 1TB hard disk, rack size 1U. Since it lacks a serial port, a monitor and keyboard are required to access CLI mode. Model S40HG, based on the HP DL20 model, does not include a serial port. Rear panel includes 4 UTP ports, equipped with a 1TB hard disk, rack size 1U. Since it lacks a serial port, a monitor and keyboard are required to access CLI mode. After powering on the device and connecting the appropriate serial cable, launch the terminal emulator. On the Connect settings screen, configure the following. Set the connection protocol to serial. Check the active port in the device manager and assign it to the selected port. Set the baud rate to 1115-200, leave the rest as default, and proceed with the connection. If the connection is successful, a window to confirm the account will be displayed. If the connection is not successful, the following will be checked. First, ensure that the serial cable is properly connected to the correct port. If it is not connected to the correct port, reconnect the cable and verify the serial connection. Second, ensure that the serial cable connection is stable and check for any connection issues. If there are any issues, reconnect the cable and confirm the serial connection. Third, check if there are any incorrect settings in the connection configuration. If the port settings differ, update the configuration and verify the serial connection. If the baud rate setting in the configuration differs, adjust it to the correct value and verify the serial connection. Lastly, verify the power status. Check if the power is on using the front LED. If it is off, toggle the rear switch to turn on the power. If the device still fails to connect or power on after completing all checks, submit an RMA request to replace the equipment. The procedure for submitting an RMA request will be explained at the end of this training session. Device access via the SSH protocol can be performed after completing the IP communication settings through serial connection. Connect a LAN cable to the UTP port, then configure the terminal emulator for secure shell access. Set the protocol to SSH2, and for the hostname, enter the IP address configured on the device to enable IP communication. Change the connection port to 3910 and proceed with the default settings for the rest. For the username field, either enter admin or leave it blank. If the connection is successful, a window to confirm the account will be displayed. If the SSH connection is not successfully established, perform the following checks. First, check the LED status of the device's UTP port. If the right LED is not green, replace the connected LAN cable and ensure the LED turns green. Afterward, retry the SSH connection. Second, check the network communication status of the device from the same network segment as the device's configured IP address. Use the ICMP command ping to verify if the device responds to requests. After confirming the response, reattempt the SSH connection. Right-click on the Windows Start button and select Run. Type CMD in the input box and press OK to open the command prompt. In the command prompt, enter the command ping IP address to check the network communication status. For the initial connection, the default account information is as follows. Username is admin, password is Genian. Use this account to log into the device, and then immediately change the default account settings to proceed with further operations securely. If you are unable to log in with the default account, it will not be possible to modify the settings. In this case, you will need to either reset the device or request a replacement through the RMA process. Verify that you can successfully log in using the username. Admin and password are Genian. If you cannot log in with username, admin, and password are Genian, you will need to perform a device reset or proceed with an RMA. If the connection is successfully established using the default account, the account settings must be changed. Username must be a minimum of 4 characters and a maximum of 31 characters. Passwords must be at least 9 characters long and contain at least 1 letter, number, and special character. If the account creation does not follow the specified rules, the account will not be created successfully. Username must be between 4 and 31 characters in length. Password must be at least 9 characters long and include at least 1 letter, 1 number, and 1 special character. If you have accessed the device, proceed to check the disk only for devices equipped with a hard disk. Since improper disk configuration can impact services, perform the following checks. First, access the device's shell mode and check the disk partitions to ensure that partitions matching the hard disk capacity have been created. Second, access the device's shell mode and check the disk mount to confirm that the directory/disk/data is mounted correctly. In shell mode, you can check the partition information using the fdisk command and verify whether the partition is mounted using the df command. Up to this time, we have learned how to access CLI mode when receiving the first equipment. Next time, we will learn about the basic command introduction that must be used after accessing the product and the OS upgrade that must be performed during initial work in NAC version 5.0. And finally, we will learn about the RMA application method that must be performed in case of equipment failure